Alright everybody, welcome back to the world's worst fishing. I'm Chris Jones. Thanks for being here today. And before we get started, of course, like, subscribe, notification bell, all that YouTube stuff. So today's video is going to be really fun. We're going to be kind of showing y'all some household items and materials that you most likely already have, or a sibling has, or a spouse has. Because some of these items I don't personally own, like, yeah, a couple of them. But I'm sure they're in your house somewhere, and they make excellent lure making tools. So this is going to be sort of like, you know, a couple of little bait making hacks based on household items that you can use to your advantage to get cool effects. And, you know, I'm certainly not the first person to ever use, you know, all of these or some of them. But I've got experience with all of them, and they're awesome little tools to have. You can have a lot of fun with it. So that's what we're doing today. Here's a recent swim bait. Wanted to show you guys. Beautiful sort of emerald gill pattern there. Okay, that did not work. Yeah, I love the overlapping triangle. I've been really doing that effect a lot lately. Jetson Magic Green Eye right there. But you know, when I was thinking about this video, and yeah, collect the whole set. When I was thinking about this video, I was thinking to myself, well, you know, most of the stuff I already have in the house, but it's a lot more fun to go get it on camera. So we're gonna make the rounds, you know, go to the hardware store, go to you know, the grocery store, anywhere that I think that I can get these. This is cool right here. These are some 8mm Jetson eyes from my signature collection with Jetson. And I'm actually sending these to another bait maker who makes really awesome wooden baits. So I can't wait to see what he can do with them. And he's sending me one with one of these eyes on it. So gonna be super cool, but just wanted to show y'all some neat stuff. All right, we are on our way to like a Lowe's or Home Depot to get a couple of the items. And I made a list of some stuff that I want to get. We may not find it all today, but we're gonna get most of it. So I'm actually on my way now. And you know, I gotta be really upfront and honest with y'all. I'm very uncomfortable today. I have something going on with my right shoulder. The muscle is just, something's going on with it. And I also have a case of shingles, which, you know, just makes your skin burn, that I'm trying to get under control. So I can't say enough about how good I feel today, but we're gonna get this video out regardless. The show goes on. Ace might be the place, but Lowe's knows. Alright, we're in the store. Nice big Phillips head. Screwdriver. Item number 1. Also, for anybody that hand pours swim baits and wants to attach eyeballs to any sort of soft plastic, that's what you need right there. So we're not really going to be using these today, but I recommend something like that you can attach to any cordless drill to mix up your 5-gallon buckets of plastic. As you can see, they're not too expensive, $9, but you know, for anyone mixing up big buckets of plastic, that right there works really well. So just walking around the store, you know, I'm finding things that you could use. Obviously this is a really big mesh, but you could clip some of that out and use it for scaling. You know, so many useful things. Next item up are these little fuzzy sponge paint brushes. Oh my, the things you can do with those. Alright, next up, we're walking next door to Publix, where we're gonna get a few, I guess, cosmetic items. Okay, next up is a $2.19 comb with 2 sizes. And I'm sure y'all can guess what this is used for in bait making. Alright, last but not least, well, maybe not last, we might find something else, but one of these little shower sponges. I don't know, I always called them loofahs, but I'm told that that's incorrect. But excellent mesh webbing right there. Alright, so you'll notice we added this little handheld cheese grater over here. We're not actually going to use that one today, because that one we actually use in the kitchen, but I wanted to include it as just sort of another idea. So these little sponges here are super cool for like splotching paint on to get, well, you know, a really cool pattern. A lot of people that airbrush hard baits, you know, not even the soft bait thing, use these. You know, this loofah here, or whatever the heck it is, right? This is like unlimited scale webbing. You cut that off, you tie it around a bait, you can spray it, or do whatever you want to do and get a cool scaling pattern. Screwdriver, hand dip tubes. This becomes a tube rod. A comb is a cool way to basically get a stenciled pattern. Spray paint through it or brush mica powder through it, whatever you want to do. And then the cheese grater is sort of the same thing. Let's say you have a bait, you can kind of put that over it, and again, you have a nice scaling pattern. So a couple different options for different effects. All right, so we're just going to start by just mixing up some white pearl powder, just a little bit, into some tube plastic here. And then we're just going to pour, just real quick, just a solid color white pearl 6-inch swim baits to sort of just kind of give us a couple of templates just to screw around with some of these effects. So, you know, like I said, keeping it real basic just to try to demonstrate sort of, you know, where to start with some of these items, and then I will later on show you a bait in person that I did using some of this stuff. All right, so we've just got 2 molds out here just to have a couple of examples that we can play with, and they are preheating, so they should be good and hot. So, and this is so weird, just pouring a solid color. I don't have to care. Don't have to be all that careful. I can just pour. Yeah, I should do this more often. There we go. Where's my soft plastic bath? I can't find my bath. Anytime you want to hand pour or hand dip tubes, I like to slide them off the rod and dip them in cold water to set them up. I can't find my bath. All right, so since we're making tubes, we're obviously using worm plastic. I'm just kidding. No, we're going to use some tube blend, and we're just going to keep it simple. A nice green pumpkin. Always makes a good tube color. Yeah. Here we go. Yeah. And then we will add some black flake. All right, I am not a hand-dipped tube guy. I'm certainly not a master at it by any account, but it certainly is fun. So basically, we're just going to get some worm oil all over this thing. You can use, you know, whatever lubricant you want, and then basically just going to dip it in, pull it out, just keep dipping it till the skin looks nice and thick. It's a really fun thing to do, and obviously the thicker your plastic is in terms of temperature, you know, the thicker the shell's going to be. And what's nice about using a screwdriver is you can just hold it with your hand and it doesn't get hot. So anyway, yeah, kind of let it run off a little bit more. So much fun. And then of course, you know, you can add effect to your tube if you want. All right, we're just going to kind of dip that in some water now, just to sort of get it set up. Yeah, set up a little bit. There we go. All right, and now we should be able just to slide it off. It's a little warm. We'll let it sit in the water a little bit longer. And as you can see, it's still a pretty thin shell. I might need to up the saturation on the plastic just a smidge. But yeah, slide it off. And now we have, you know, basically a little 2.5-inch, 3-inch long tube, right? Then we could cut that and make tails. So we'll do a couple more just for demonstration. All right, so now we're just going to cut a tail here. This is the Angling AI tail cutter. And here we go. Put some pressure, and boom. Now we have a screwdriver petite tube. Let's zoom out. There it is. Just like that. You can kind of fan them out a little bit. How about that? Not the best tube in the world, obviously, but if you just want to make some tubes, there's a good way. All right, there are the tubes. Just gonna kind of roll them in salt. Yeah, salty tubes, right? Get them good and salted up. That's how you see tubes a lot. Pre-salted. Beautiful. All right, now we're going to put them in a bag and make them look official. There we go. There it is. Those came off a screwdriver like 5 minutes ago. Fun little bait hacks. On to the next stuff, I guess. You know, I just looked. My wife took my last German beer. She literally drank the last good German imported beer in this house. And that's just a no-no. All right. So yeah, again, these are just real simple. Just to give us just a real basic template. So a lot of times when you see soft plastic baits, whether it's a swim bait or something else that's been painted or had some sort of airbrush effect on the outside, generally they start with just a white pearl base. But we can do some cool things with our hands along with an airbrush. So we're going to show you some cool tricks, you know, with the sponges, with the comb, with the loofah thing, and kind of use these as a template. So one of the first things I want to do is just sort of take some of this and just kind of cut it out, right? You'd be amazed at how much material is in one of these, right? And so now we have a great scale meshing, right? So, and of course this is all easier on a hard bait to do this kind of particular scaling. But, you know, essentially, you could just wrap it, tie it around, tie it around your soft bait. Boom, now you have scales. All right, so here's an example of something that you can do, right? Here we go. We're just going to shade on some black. This is SB Coat lure paint. You know, and you could, of course, do this in a different color. You could really opaque it, or you could make it, you know, kind of a ghost pattern, right? With just some faint scaling. Yeah, so just like that, we now have scaling on our soft bait. You know, and then of course you could do a couple tricks to, you know, add effect here and there. A lot of people like to shade the eye on a bait a lot darker than the surroundings. So, you know, you could always do that, I guess. But how about that? And of course, you know, that's a really, really simple way to do this. You know, a lot of times you would have already painted a couple colors and then, you know, your scaling goes on last. But that's just an example, right? So now we're going to do the same thing with this comb. All right, we're just going to line it up. All right, and this is cool. This creates a really, really fun effect that kind of gives you a stenciled bar effect. This is barring. So again, just going to do the same thing. Little spray, yeah. It's just LureWorks SB Coat. It sprays through a airbrush really well. Solvent base, so you have to be really careful, pay close attention to, you know, close attention to this stuff. You do not want to breathe it in. So yeah, you know, I don't have a lot of experience with these kinds of things, but it's always fun to try new stuff, right? Check it out. You can see I got a little overspray on the bottom, but the point is we now have some cool patterns. And, you know, this is just, there again, I keep reiterating, this is just such a simple, dumbed down version of it. But this is some of the things that you can do. You know, you don't always have to buy stencils made for soft baits or made for lure making in order to get these effects. You know, just that right there came from virtually nothing, right? That's what makes it so fun, is just stuff that's already in your house. You can come out here and do amazing things with. Okay, so we have one of the 4.9 Angling AI open bore jerkbait molds on the hot plate. I basically poured a very basic baby bass and we will add the effect to it using those sponges with some more Lure-Works SB Coat paint, except this is the dotting paint. This is my favorite stuff to use in terms of foreign materials, you know, being not regular plastisol additives like powders and liquid pigments. This is a true paint, and whenever I use it, I like to use it in a very specific way that I'm going to show you. Of course, you know, you can dip something in this dotting paint to add, you know, little circular dots, say to like a trout pattern or just whatever you do. But I like to use it on the sponge to get sort of a splotchy effect. So we're going to let this bait cool down. We're going to demold it, and then we're going to sponge it. All right, let's see how this jerkbait came out. Again, oh yeah, cool. Just a real basic laminate. Nothing too fancy there. But that is sort of the beginnings, I guess you could say, of what will ultimately be a pretty simple baby bass pattern. Alright, so the way that we're going to enhance this is by splotching some paint down the side, which will sort of give it a little bit of that baby bass look. You know, largemouth bass, they have, you know, usually some black splotches down the sides. So what I've done is I've taken one of these sponges here. I've just kind of cut off a piece and just sort of cut it into a tip, right? And what that allows me to do is make little splotches as I go along. So dotting paint is essentially just a thickened version of the same solvent paint that you spray through the airbrush, right? So we're just going to dip that tip in it. Just kind of wipe some of it off. Alright, and then we're just going to kind of start just adding some little splotches here and there, right? Just kind of splotchy. Something like that, right? Just to get that little random down the side splotch effect, you know? You can kind of twirl it around to get different splotch effects, you know? All up and down the side of the bait, basically. And that's just a real kind of rough, quick, you know, way to do it. And then, you know, maybe some up here around the face, right? So there's a real kind of rough draft, so to speak, of what a baby bass could be, right? You know, I just wanted to pour one of these jerk baits because they're fun. Then of course, you know, you could do the same side, or the same thing on the other side. But I like to kind of cut these sponges to a fine tip. That way I'm not splotching the whole thing top to bottom. I can keep it where I want to keep it. That technique is how I do a pattern like this. So this is the adult version of the baby bass. And what I mean by that is a much more complicated, you know, a lot more kind of detailed version of it. You can see it's got a real similar effect. And I really love just how natural and splotchy you can get with it, you know. Now this particular bait, I mean, everything is happening in this one. Capsuling, the splotched dotting paint, skin layers, right? That green and then the brown on the top, that is skin poured into the mold before the mold is closed and then the body is poured. You know, so we're basically starting with an outer capsule, some of this dotting paint, you know, then skin pouring under that, then pouring the body under that. So that right there is an extreme example of how to use, you know, the sponge thing. So yeah, that's kind of why I chose to do that, because I had this example right here. So, you know, and again, that's something you can find in any art supplies section of Walmart or wherever. You might even already have one at your house. All right, so you might recognize that from thumbnail, but that's sort of a little spread of what we did today, minus you know, the cheese thing as well. But you know, you could probably find several things in your kitchen or laying around your shed that you can bring to the workbench with your lures. And the comb trick and scaling mesh and things like that, that's really popular in the hard bait world, particularly with airbrush painters. But you can use those sort of things on your soft baits. And you really don't have to look far. You probably already have a set of screwdrivers. You probably already have a comb. Steal this from your wife's shower. This right here, you can get the next time you're at Walmart. All these little tools, and this is just like 4 or 5 things, y'all. There's so many little undiscovered household items that you can bring to your workbench, like I keep saying, and I'm sure a lot of people have figured these things out, and found things to use in their bait shop that maybe none of the rest of us have thought of yet. So that's just what's really exciting about it, is these are just household supplies, and these are very basic, I guess, versions of these effects. But hey, that ain't bad right there. So really cool stuff. And the point of today's video is just to have some fun, to do something different, and to inspire you guys to look through your house. There's hidden treasures everywhere that can assist you with being creative. So yeah, I hope y'all enjoyed just our little spread here. Man, I have to say, shingles sucks. It's starting to get a little sensitive today, and it always grows like on one side of your body, sort of on just the side of your ribs, this area here. And that's exactly where I've got it. Luckily it hadn't gotten bad yet. I'm not trying to gross y'all out, just saying, man, it's very uncomfortable. So I'm probably gonna rest the rest of the day. I would love to just pour up a ton of baits and have lots of fun, but gotta give my body some rest. I'm getting old, y'all. We've been on this YouTube thing 3 or 4 years now. I'm not a spring chicken anymore. But with that said, like, subscribe, notification bell, comment down below which little household item was your favorite, and which other household items would you like to see that I have not thought of yet. See you guys.